Hello class, we are going to start this meeting. It's a little bit after 7 o'clock. I'm hoping some of you did not log on right at 5 o'clock because there were some technical difficulties related to the meeting, but we did get those fixed. So what I'm going to do is go over a few things in your class and go over the first assignment. And then if you have any questions, you can email me or give me a call. But there's some things I do want to cover today, and I will go through those briefly. This will not take real long. So the first thing I'd like to do is, hopefully I can get the screen to move down here. Here is my contact information. I believe that you have already seen this if you watched the orientation video. I did change my name to Morrison. Previously it was Diane Libanowski. You can email me at Diane Morrison, or I do also get emails through with my previous last name. One thing I did want to point out is a couple things. When you are referencing the text, please use this format. This is the correct format, and this is a format sanctioned by the school, so please use that. And then I wanted to talk to you about the discussion threads. I did grade your work and just a few reminders and expectations for the class. So we will go down to the discussion rubric. The first one talks about needing a scholarly reference and citation. And the two things that I do want to point out here is that you need to always include a reference, which is scholarly. The dictionary, that type of thing, is not scholarly, so you would lose points. And you also have to include an in-text citation, which refers to your reference. And that in-text citation should include an author or source and a year. And then if it's a direct quote, you need to include a page, or if it's from a website, a paragraph number in that citation. And the next one, we're talking about contributing to learning. And this one relates to your post. You want to make sure that you have a good, substantial post, and you're talking about the question that is being asked in your own words. Here, if you have a quote, it has to be less than 20% of your post, or you do lose 5 points. So please be aware of that and be careful that you're not putting in too large of a quote. And also do not put in words that are a quote without quotation marks, because that would be considered plagiarism. The next thing I want to talk to you about is netiquette. Netiquette is to address your classmates by their first name or me. You can call me Professor Morrison, Diane, or even hello class if you're not comfortable with that. But make sure that every post is addressed with a hello to the person you are talking to, so we know who you are talking to. Starting week 2, if you do not do that, you will lose a point. So please be aware of that. Grammar and mechanics. Most of the time, sometimes I know when you use your phone to do your discussion post, you don't have spell check, and that's where I see issues with spelling, grammar, punctuation. And then the other one is in your referencing, that you're not including a page or paragraph number with your citation, or an incorrect format with your reference. So please go back to how to be successful in the discussion threads and review that video. And this just means that you posted on time, you met the requirements by posting to 2 other responses or instructors, and that you're on 2 different days. So that's basically what I wanted to cover there. And then the other information that I wanted to give you tonight is I wanted to talk to you about the first assignment, which you'll be working on this week. And that is located here. We'll scroll down here. Oops. Let's see why this doesn't want to go down. I don't think. All right. You may not be seeing my screen. I'm just realizing that now. Let's turn it over to here. Hopefully, okay, you are now seeing my screen. Hopefully in that first part, I was going through the discussion threads, and if you just follow your rubric for the discussion rubric, that should follow along with that. In this one, we're going to go through the modules, and we'll get back to module 2. You really only have 2 written assignments here, and it's in module 2 and in module 4. So this is the assignment I'm going to talk to you about now. And what you're doing is you are looking at community resources to assess healthy living styles and barriers to vulnerable populations. So the most important thing you can do is follow the rubric and answer each question. I strongly suggest that you have an introductory paragraph and then use each one of these criteria as a title. And that way then you know you're covering each one. So what you're doing is looking for a geographical area. I suggest not using an overly large area because it just will make it easier for you. So you could talk about the community you live in, the community you grew up in, maybe where your parents live. Sometimes I've had students talk about where their parents retired and what that community looks like. And so what is in that community and what activities promote a healthy lifestyle. So you can assess the community and then look at this criteria. So if you think about it, you should be answering all these questions. What does that area do for physical activity? Are there parks? What do the parks look like? Are they accessible to handicapped people? Maybe they're marathons. Talk about physical activity that is available in that area. It could also be that there might not be anything, but they have to pay for it. Nutritional, health screening, social activities, immunization, and educational opportunities. So it also says include all public and private or educational institutions. So it could be schools, high schools that facilitate this. Then you need to talk about, are they accessible? Is it free to the public? Is there a membership required? So in this community that you're talking about, do you have to belong to the YMCA, or do the people provide memberships to those that are underprivileged? What is available that will help promote a healthy lifestyle? And then what are the barriers to accessibility for people who are vulnerable? And that includes elderly, people with disabilities, or anyone else you could think of. So again, we talked about parks. Do their parks promote, there's parks sometimes that are made for wheelchair access, that type of thing. So how does this area you're assessing, whether it's a community or a geographical area in a community, how does that help these people? And then summarize your findings, and then make sure that you also include this statement. So it's 2 pieces here. Summarize your assessment, and then are there populations that have limited access? You need to write this in APA format. So remember, you need to have a title page and a reference page. And on your reference page, you have to have 2 scholarly references. One could be your book, if that's what you'd want to use, but another one should be a journal, a nursing journal. The paper has to be 3 to 5 pages in length. And you need to follow rules of grammar, punctuation, etc. So again, here is your rubric. Make sure that you identify a geographical area, and then why did you choose that area? So there's 2 parts to that. Then you're going to assess that area as we talked about, and it says provide a list, or you can talk about it in paragraph form, but make sure you're covering all this information. And then you're going to scroll down to assess and discuss these opportunities and availability for people. So who can go and participate? Again, answering all these questions. And then here it talks about elderly, people with disabilities, and if you think of another group, and what are the barriers. And then your final paragraph will be your summary, and then you want to answer this question. So that's basically it. That's 180 points. And then there are points related to the size of the paper, if there's references, is it in APA format, rules of grammar, and if there's more than 20% quotes, you would lose points. Remember that under the Pages tab, you do have an example of an APA formatted paper. So you may want to go back to that Pages tab and just take a look at what that is, because sometimes just looking at something really helps with getting an idea in mind of what it should look like. So here's some how-to videos that you might want to take a look at. So basically that was all I was going to cover tonight. If you do have any questions, please let me know. Otherwise, you can email me or call me. I'm looking forward to working with you online. And please read your feedback. This week I did one written and one verbal feedback, so you get to listen to both, or look at one and listen to both. So again, looking forward to meeting you online and working with you and making this class great and successful as you reach your goal in becoming an RN.